As a kid, I always wanted to be a Christian. My friend Carolyn went to church where if you were well behaved, you got marshmallows and the love of Jesus. If you were badly behaved, you only got the love of Jesus. And I wanted to go. But I was pretty sure that we weren't church people in my family. Church families always started meals by telling Jesus about all the things that they were grateful for. My family usually started meals by arguing about whose turn it was to do the dishes. Also, my family celebrated Santa Claus Christmas instead of Jesus Christmas. I was pretty sure if you believed in God, you had to celebrate Jesus Christmas. Oh, and we believed in evolution, and you had to believe in God or evolution. That's how it worked. There were these two big guys with white beards named Darwin and God. If you chose the Darwin one, you believed about monkeys and the universe being really old. If you chose the God one, you believed about a garden called Eden, and you said grace and you went to church. Eventually, I worked up the guts to ask my mom if there was a God. I found her in the kitchen, my mom, not God, and I asked her the big question. And she stopped what she was doing and she stared into space really hard, like she was focusing on it because it was super important. That is not what was happening. Turned out she was trying to convert the butter in her recipe from grams to ounces, so I asked her again, and she said she was baking and not to bother her because did I want pie or didn't I want pie? I left her alone because God, pie. And on the way out, she told me to go ask my dad because he loves pointless questions with no answer. So I found my dad. And I asked him, and he told me he didn't believe in God the way Carolyn did, but that he wanted to show me something. And he wrote something down on a piece of paper. And he handed it to me, and he said, "For me, this is scripture." I was like 8. I didn't know what scripture was. So then he said it was math. I did know what math was, and it was not this. This side of the equation with the equal sign and the minus and the 1, that looks like math, sure. But what is going on over here? The E is language arts. So is the I, which my dad said stood for imaginary numbers. If there is one place you are not supposed to use your imagination, it's in math class. And then the squiggle, he said this was the drawing of a pie, which is art class, but this looks nothing like a pie, which is remarkable because how hard is it to draw a pie, Dad? It's a circle. I told my dad that even though I was his third child, he still had to make an effort with me. Then my dad told me that someday I would grow up and that I would take advanced mathematics and I would learn to understand this equation and how it ties the whole world together. And I did grow up and I did take advanced mathematics and I still have no flipping idea what that equation means, but I do know this. I know that the face my dad made when he talked about the laws of physics and mathematics is the same look of reverence I see on the faces of people at worship. Science made my dad a part of something so huge and so elegant that it is a miracle that it even exists. It's a miracle we get to understand even this tiny sliver of the world that we do understand. And it is a miracle that we get to use math and science to take that understanding and to join together from around the world and through history and build bridges and buildings and invent medicine and travel into space. It is a miracle how science allows us to be part of a journey of understanding that reaches deep into history and far into the future. We think of science and religion as in opposition to each other somehow. Whenever people talk like that, I think of my dad and the expression on his face as he drew that incomprehensible set of squiggles on the page and handed it to me like a man handling scripture. That drawing that to him was the shadow of God, cast across the page so that parts of it could be seen by humans. We each have these things, these places or these passions that are sacred to us. What kind of world would it be if instead of starting with, "What's your name? What do you do for a living?" we asked, "What gives you a sense of awe and reverence?" Pleased to meet you, my name is Liz. For me, it's the river in my hometown and the practice of singing around a campfire with others. Oh, and words. What is it for you?